After the tests by India and Pakistan in 1998, there was a relative period of strategic stability because both sides had established a sense of strategic deterrence. However, following the nuclear waiver given to India, sponsored by the United States in 2008, and the strategic partnership that has emerged between the United States and the Indians, mainly directed against China because the US would like to use India as a counterweight to China. The Indians have embarked on a major program of strategic and conventional military buildup. This is being supported, assisted by the United States, and in this process they have acquired because of the 2008 waiver, the ability to enhance and increase the number of their nuclear warheads. They have increased and acquired a triad of delivery systems of short, medium and long range nuclear weapons which are land, air and seaborne. They are experimenting with a ballistic missile defense system, and they are also experimenting with a MIRV or multiple independent re-entry vehicle capability. And finally, they are also have the capacity now of working towards eventual development of a hydrogen bomb. So these, from Pakistan's perspective, are in the strategic realm highly destabilizing developments. In addition to that, India has enhanced its conventional military capabilities to put in place what it has put across as its doctrine of cold start. A cold start doctrine which is meant to fight a conventional war with Pakistan despite the existence of strategic deterrence. So below the strategic level, a conventional war is being envisaged, which is also highly destabilizing. In response to that, of course, Pakistan has to respond by closing the gaps, and one of the ways it is trying to close the gaps is to acquire the capability to deter a conventional attack through smaller, low-yield nuclear weapons, because this is a more cost-effective option rather than to build up the conventional parity with India, which would be highly expensive for Pakistan. So these are developments which are creating a highly unstable situation in the region, and in spite of the current differences between the two countries, the situation is becoming more complex as a result of what is happening today in Kashmir. And as we all know, both Indian and Pakistani troops face each other on the line of control, and this is a situation which can spark a larger conflict. So in such a situation, there is an urgent need for a dialogue to stabilize the strategic environment in this region. When we conducted the tests in 1998, Pakistan proposed a strategic restraint regime, which was 3 interlocking steps relating to a dialogue to resolve outstanding political issues such as Kashmir, a balance of conventional forces, and measures to enhance stability in the strategic realm by not weaponizing our nuclear warheads or delivery systems, by keeping them separate, by preventing the evolution of submarine-based missile systems, or even by preventing a ballistic missile defense. Now, on many of these points, India has already made progress because they rejected at that time the proposals we had made. We have some small, modest CBMs in place, early warning, not to conduct missile tests within different range, or military exercises within certain range of each other's borders, etc. Those are in place. We need to supplement these. I think one of the most important in the present environment, one of the most important CBMs would be to have a dialogue on resolving this issue of a sub-strategic conflict. That is to say, a possible conflict that can emerge as a result of India's cold start doctrine. This gap needs to be plugged, and a dialogue is needed between the two sides to ensure that we do not go down this road which can lead to a larger nuclear conflict. I think now the time has come where that has changed. When the Indians were under pressure, that is immediately after 1998, when the tests took place and the international community was criticizing India, and India particularly because they were the first ones to test, and a lot of members of the international community recognized that Pakistan had to respond. So the Indians were feeling under a lot of pressure, and that was the time when they engaged with us. That was also a time when they tried to look for areas of commonality, and that was, as I said earlier in another question, that the Lahore Agreement was a document that showed some of the areas where we were on the same page, more or less, in terms of confidence building, etc. But after this change that has come about and this emergence of the strategic partnership between the US and India has taken place, India feels that it is on a different level and it no longer needs to engage with Pakistan. So one, there is no dialogue, we have no mechanism to ensure safety and security in terms of our strategic equation. On the other hand, at the international level, we used to have common positions, say for instance on NPT, on the fissile material issues, or on even on the comprehensive test ban to a certain extent. That is no longer the case. So we are not on the same page anymore on many of these issues because Indians are on a different tangent. I think a little bit of history of the energy is necessary to be understood. The point is that the energy was created by a group of countries that can engage in nuclear commerce, that have the capability to engage in nuclear commerce after the Indians tested their first nuclear device in 1974. So it was in reaction to that. It was meant to regulate commerce in nuclear materials that can lead to further nuclear proliferation. Now, because as I mentioned earlier, the US would like to use India as a counterweight to China and has evolved a strategic partnership with the Indians against the Chinese, they have been pushing the Indian case for membership of the NSG. In 2008, they facilitated the waiver from international safeguards for India. Now they are pushing their membership. All along, Pakistan's position has been that if there has to be a change in the international community's approach to dealing with countries that are nuclear weapon states but not members of the non-proliferation treaty, such as India, Pakistan and Israel, then this has to be done on a basis which is equitable and fair and non-discriminatory. Obviously, there has been discrimination against Pakistan in the context of the NSG waiver for India, and now for pushing India's membership of the NSG. Pakistan has taken a principled stand, and I think some of Pakistan's friends have taken a principled stand on this issue, whereby they are saying that there should either be a criteria-based approach which applies to everyone equally and uniformly, or India's credentials or India's membership should be considered on the basis of current criteria, and that criteria is membership of the NPT, which India obviously does not fulfill. So if this rule has to change, then it would only be fair and equitable that it is changed for everyone and not just for India.